You're this perp back with another video, and I thought, hey, why not make a video of my favorite movies of the 2010s? But before I get into my list, hit that like button. Also follow me on Twitter at perpminded420 and hit that sub button if this is the first time you're checking me out. Got a ton of content on the channel, but you know, the 2010s is definitely the most divisive decade in film history, I think, by far, and also the most interesting if we just look at, you know, past decades and where we're at now. And it's just very fascinating. You know, you have the rise of the comic book genre. You have the rise of just so many flops, so many successful movies, and just a lot of movies that were huge letdowns. A lot of franchises coming to an end, and just the 2010s was just filled with a lot of dope films, a lot of trash films, just a lot of interesting films overall. And this is my list of what I thought is my favorite movies of each year in this decade. And I wonder where the future of film is going to go after, you know, this decade is pretty much over. So let's start this video with the year 2010. My favorite movie was Inception. Now, Christopher Nolan was coming off the high of The Dark Knight, so I was already excited to see this movie. I know the first time I saw this, it blew my mind. I've never watched something so complex and so in-depth. I had to see it for the second time, and when I saw it the second time, I saw even more, and just, I love this movie. Inception is definitely one of the best movies, or just the best movies to me in 2010. Now, let's shift things over to 2011, where this is where you start to see the theme of franchises ending, or just certain parts of a story ending. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Now, this, I feel like, was a game changer in a lot of ways, and doesn't get its just due because of its being a Harry Potter. And Harry Potter was just such a phenomenal franchise. I think it's the best franchise, period, of all time. But that's just my opinion. You might differ, but you know, I think this started a whole trend of just franchises ending, and we were starting to see a shift in just film in general. But my pick for 2012 is not what you're expecting, and my pick for 2012 is The Dark Knight Rises. This is another film that ended a trilogy that was started back in 2015 with Batman Begins. Then we got The Dark Knight, now Dark Knight Rises. A lot of people don't like this movie. That's fair, but me, I think the more I watch it, the more I could appreciate it for what it is and what it did for just comic book movies and just film overall. It's still one of the best movies to come out in 2012. I know that The Avengers came out and that was huge, but you know, I have to give it to The Dark Knight Rises just because I love Bane. Bane was a dope villain. But yeah, just an underrated movie to me, in my opinion. 2013, we got Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street was another great movie to come out, and you know, this was, at the time, for me, Leonardo DiCaprio's one of his best roles, and he definitely got snubbed for this for other reasons. Who knows? Academies didn't like him at the time, or I don't know what was their deal, but Wolf of Wall Street was amazing. Definitely the best movie of 2013. Now, 2014, we have Winter Soldier. Now, Winter Soldier was definitely hands down the best movie to come out in 2014. Really put Captain America just on the map, and This, because when the first Avengers came out, the first Captain America came out, a lot of people didn't respect Captain America. Some of them didn't even know that Captain America was the leader, but this movie really made that clear as day and really stood on its own. Also making the MCU more prominent in just film in general. It was a game changer. So 2015, y'all not really were expecting this. Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. This was my favorite movie in 2015 period. Now I know a lot of people were expecting me to say The Force Awakens, but no. This was my type of movie. I like dramas. I like these emotional tales, but also it has a little bit of dark humor in it. If you can find this on digital or pick this up on Blu-ray, definitely pick it up. This was a phenomenal movie. Definitely one of the best movies to come out in 2015. My favorite movie to come out in 2015. But continuing with the whole comic book theme, we get to 2016, and I gotta give it to Civil War. Civil War was a defining moment for just films and comic book films. Like, I think this was make or break for a lot of comic book films, because we had, Suicide Squad, we had Batman vs Superman. If these movies were to fail and whatnot, we probably wouldn't have gotten the movies that we got now. And this was a huge movie just for the MCU and just films in general. Going to 2017, we have Get Out, and Get Out is definitely the biggest horror movie by far this decade. Nobody was expecting it to do the numbers that it did. Nobody was expecting it to get the praise that it did. And this was Jordan Peele's first directorial debut. And, what a first impression. This will always be remembered. It definitely changed horror as we know it, going forward. And just what that meant for just black directors in horror. I think it deserves to be the best movie of 2017. So now that we're going towards the end of the decade, we got Infinity War for 2018. This is the peak of, the MCU and just everything that they built up for the last 10 years. This was an event. This was a monumental event. This event will never be forgotten. But it definitely doesn't get talked about as much, and that I'm gonna save that for another time. But Infinity War was definitely my favorite movie of 2018. This was such a grand scale, movie. It's just like, how can you ever top this? Maybe in the new 20s, we'll see something even bigger than Infinity War. But for 2018, it's definitely Infinity War. So to cap off 2019, I have to give it to The Joker. The Joker was easily the best movie of this year, 2019. And why did I pick this and not Endgame? Just simple. It's simple because, you think about all the big comic book movies and these big budget films that came out in the 2010s, and The Joker kind of really brought things back to the basics. If you really think about it, where we came from like The Dark Knight, this kind of gave me a Dark Knight vibe. Like, they just kind of toned things down and just wanted to tell a really dope story, and this is what they did. And The Joker is the highest grossing rated R film, and that's a big, huge, game-changing feat for this film to do, because nobody was expecting this movie to even be good. A lot of people had their doubts, but I think definitely we could say that comic book movies have definitely taken over this decade. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to be the big movies of the new 20s. But these are the movies that that stand out to me in this decade. I'm really excited to see what the new 20s have to offer. What will be the next big trending like movie? Because definitely it has been comic books. Now comic books are just going to be another genre. They're still going to be big to a lot of people, but I think they're going to need something new. Maybe live action anime. I'm hoping for that. We start getting some more live action anime movies. But let me know in the comments below, what are some of your favorite movies of this decade? Just put the year and your favorite movie there. Also, let me know, what do you think the future of Hollywood is and what direction that they could possibly go? You think that comic book movies are going to just dominate the next 10 years? Will something else take its place? Will we get back to just more original ideas? I'm up for that too. But this is my list. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Peace.